I'm Tony.
And I'm Tina.
And we're
TNT RVing.
Tony here with TNT RVing. Well, winter's on its way. Come along with me and I'll show you how we winterize our Rockwood 2205S. This is Belle, by the way. We love her and we want to take care of her. So come along and I'll show you what I do. Thanks.
So one of the first things you're going to want to do is bypass your water heater. So what I'd like to do, if you're going to do this winterizing, maybe your last trip, you're maybe still at the campgrounds and you just use your water heater, you're going to want to make sure you shut this off. This thing's under a lot of pressure and you would hate to pull out your anode rod and have water gushing everywhere and get burned. I'm going to show you on the inside here how you bypass this particular unit. And once again, this is a Rockwood 2205S. And like I said, if you're at the campground, what I would suggest is shutting off your electric here outside, shut off your electric inside along with your gas, and go ahead and turn your hot water on until it runs out of the spigot nice and cool or cold. Then what you're going to want to do is come on out here, and here's your pressure relief valve. You're going to want to pull this. This will still be under pressure even though it's cold water. And you'll open this up and you might get a little burp of water coming out of here. And that's how you would essentially proceed. But let's go inside and I'll show you where you bypass the water heater. So here's the back of our water heater. And what I did is I took a Sharpie and I marked my valves on the top here. As you can see, right now, the cold water that feeds in here is directed into the tank. Once it's warmed up, it comes out of the tank and goes back into this hose or down this hose and gives us hot water. When we're bypassing this, what we're going to want to do is turn this valve like so, and this valve as well. Now what's going to happen is the cold water will enter the hose. It's not going to be able to go into the tank. It gets redirected up here. Once again, it's not allowed to go into the tank, and it'll continue to bypass. So that's the position you're going to want to have this in when you're winterizing. So I'm back outside, and I wanted to go ahead and open this relief valve one more time, just kind of double check that there's no water coming out, and nothing is coming out. We're in good shape there. I have a brand new anode rod that I'll be replacing in the event that this one here is bad. This has been in for 1 season, so let's take a look and see what it looks like. By the way, this is a 1 1/16 socket. And there will be, probably like 5 gallons or so of water coming out of here. So we shall see. And actually, this doesn't look so bad. As you can see, like I said, it's been in there all season long. I may just go ahead and replace it. These things are not very expensive, and then I won't have to worry about it. I'd rather replace it early than too late. So the tank is still draining here, and as you can see, when I open that up, the sediment was coming out. And this is from the anode rod, and who knows what else, calcium deposits and that sort of thing. Which leads me to another thing for you to think about. I'm going to go inside, and I want to show you the water filter inside this unit. So we're at the bathroom vanity in our Rockwood, and what I did was I removed the hard panel that they had here and I put in a curtain. And while we're traveling, I'll just flip this open, take a peek in there, and double check there's no leaks while we're camping. It's the last thing I want to do. But the reason I brought you in here is I wanted to show you this water filter. Some of the posts I've seen in the past on Facebook and stuff, people have taken these water filters out, and I think that might be a bad idea. I think that sediment that's in that hot water tank is then gonna, if you bypass this, is going to just plug up your faucets. So that's just something I'm thinking about. I'm gonna leave it in. I'm gonna actually replace this with a new filter next season. A little later I'll show you how I'm gonna remove this and winterize it. So I just wanted to show you that filter, and then here's our water pump. So I really like having quick access in here so I could see if there's any trouble, any leaks or anything. So let's go back outside. Thanks. I took a real bright flashlight and I looked in here, and I could still see a lot of sediment on the bottom. So the goal here is to try to get as much of the sediment out as possible. I know they make a wand that you can hook up to a water hose. Unfortunately, I don't have that. So I'm going to use my fresh water fill hose, and let's see how that'll work. It should do the job. So let's see what we get out of here. So I'm going to stick that in there, which is nice, and we just blast some water in there. And I also have air, and I will blast a bunch of air in there, loosen up stuff, and it seems to be pulling stuff out of there. Let's go ahead and shut that off for a second. You can see it. It does a pretty decent job. So I'll do that a couple times and hopefully get all the sediment out. So a little tip for you, when I'm doing this, I leave the valve open up top, so when I really fill this up with water, it's full up. Then I'll go ahead and pull this out, stick that air in there, and it does a great job. And this is nice because I have a nice long nozzle, and I can reach in there and really blow the air. Everything gets flushed out of there. And there you go. So I've done that several times, and actually it's looking really good. I probably should have taken a before and after, but there was a lot of sediment in there, and now it looks really clean. So now we established that the tank's clean enough. What we're gonna do, or what I like to do, is I'll take an old bath towel and cut the hem off of the bath towel. And this is cotton, so I'll go ahead and stick this cotton in here and shove this as far back as I can. And what'll happen is the remaining water that's in here will be absorbed by the cotton, and it will go ahead and come right out of the tank, and it'll suck all the rest of the water that's in the bottom, sitting in the bottom, out of there. So I'll go ahead and put this all the way in there, and what you'll see is the water will work its way out. So as you can see, the water's slowly creeping out. And what I'll do is I'll just leave this in here while I'm doing the rest of the winterizing. So we're here at the panel, and on our Rockwood we have a city water connection, which is here, a tank, black tank flush, which is here, and then here we have an antifreeze inlet. So this allows us to use the internal water pump and pressurize the system with antifreeze. I'll show you what I do with all these. We're under the trailer right now, back in the back right corner where the low point drains are. I added these valves to make it easier to drain all the water. So you're going to want to open both of those up, and I'll show you what we'll do. So with the low point drains open, I have this fitting that I'll be able to put air on. I'm going to install this in the city water connection right here. And we're going to put air to this. The most important thing I could tell you is that you want to set your air compressor to 40 psi, just in case there's something goes wrong. You're not going to overpressurize and blow a line. So I have my air compressor set to 40 psi. It's running in the back, and I'm going to hook up air and blow out the water that's remaining in the lines. So I hooked up our fitting at the city water connection. I have my air compressor that you can hear in the background running set to 40 psi. We're going to hook up the air, and we're going to blow whatever water is in the lines out the low point drain. I'll take you over there and show you what that looks like. I now move the fitting over to our tank flush. Our compressor's still set to the 40 psi, and I'm going to blow out the tank flush line. So right now, unfortunately you can't hear it, but the valve that's on the inside of the RV is making that noise when you put water in and it vibrates. That's the anti-siphon valve. And I want to make sure that I get all of the water out of that anti-siphon valve, or else it'll crack over winter. I'll show you what else I'll do, because I'll be putting antifreeze in there as well. That should be enough. So we're back underneath the bathroom sink vanity, checking out the filter. And as you can see, all of the water got blown out of it. So we really won't make a mess removing this. I'm going to go ahead and remove it, and I'll show you what I'll do next. So the filter was a little bit snug in there. I had to use a little persuader on the handle, but just to let you know, it did come out not too bad. So here we have it. We removed the filter. Now what I'm going to do with this empty container, I actually have a water bottle, an empty water bottle. I'm going to put that inside of there, and this way the antifreeze volume will be less in this container. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back up in there. So the water pump is currently set to the fresh water side. I'm going to go ahead and turn this so the antifreeze is going to be able to be sucked in using this pump. So this is the anti-siphon valve that's hooked up to the black tank flush, and we want to make sure we run antifreeze through it so it doesn't crack. So we're now ready for some antifreeze. I'm going to pour this in this bucket that I have on top of the ladder. You probably don't really need to do it, but I figured the less the pump has to work, the better. Here we go. And we probably only need a couple, 2, maybe 3 gallons. So I'm going to put 2 gallons in here, and then we'll see where that takes us. So another tool I have here is a little hand pump, and we're going to use this hand pump to pump antifreeze in the tank flush to protect that valve I showed you earlier. The other thing we're going to do is I'm going to also pump some antifreeze in the antifreeze inlet, so we can maybe prime the pump. It'll work a little less. So let's first hook this up to the tank flush, and we'll see what we can get through there. That should be good. This is a new to me. Just picked this up today, actually, and
I'll show you a picture of the packaging and the two fittings I bought as well. Let's see if we could get this thing to work here. And here we go. So you could hear that valve making that noise. So I'm going to do that a couple times just to make sure we got all the water out of it. That's pretty good. All right. So I feel pretty confident that that valve will not crack over winter. So I'm going to go ahead and switch that over to the inlet for the pump. So we're now hooked up to the antifreeze inlet, and I went ahead and actually gave this a couple pumps, and it did take some. So I think we're good there, and I'm going to disconnect it and I'll get back to you. So I now hooked up a short length of hose to the antifreeze inlet. I have it going up into the bucket here, held by a clamp. I added 1 more gallon of antifreeze just so we don't run out. I'm not going to come out here a lot to double check it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the low point drains and we're going to shut those off. So the low point drains are closed. Now we're going to go ahead and turn on the water pump, and you can hear it. It actually is primed. We could see our filter housings filled with antifreeze. All right, so now we are set to turn on our cold water. Let that run till it comes out pink, which it is. That's good. You can hear the pump running. I'm going to go ahead and turn it to the hot. There's hot. And that is running nice and pink. So we'll go ahead and stop that. So we're at the sink now. And that's running nice and pink. And here's the cold. And that's running nice and pink. Alright, so the Rockwood has a shower miser. One of the neat things about this is when you're dry camping, you want to conserve your freshwater tank. What you do is you move this valve down. That allows the water flowing through the faucet to get recirculated back to the freshwater tank so you don't waste any. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on our hot water till it comes out nice and pink, which it's doing. Then we'll do our cold. Now that's coming out nice and pink. Now with the cold on, let's go back up here. Coming out pink below. I'm going to turn this down. Now what's happening is it's going to divert the antifreeze back to the freshwater tank. So I'm not sure what lines are there and fittings. So I want to make sure I get antifreeze back to that. So that should be enough. So now what we're going to do, swing back over here to the toilet. And we're going to go ahead and step on that until it comes out nice and pink, which actually it's doing a great job. And I'll just leave that, about that amount in to cover the seal so that doesn't dry out. So I probably have around another half gallon or more remaining from all the flushing I did. I did have a little bit of an accident and I had to redo the shower. But I'm going to show you the outdoor shower. And let's see here. We're going to just turn that way. We'll turn her on. And that's nice and pink. You hear the pump. All right. And here is that one. And that is running nicely as well. So we're back inside, And I have probably maybe a quarter gallon of antifreeze left. And one thing I didn't do is put any of the antifreeze down this drain here. I'm going to put some on this side. And we already did this when I ran it. I'll put some more in here just to be safe. And what I'll do is get another gallon, and I'm going to hit the shower drain real well and the sink drain, and we should be in good shape. So we're back inside with some more antifreeze, and I want to put some down in the sink here. So there's a little bit there for the sink, and again for the shower. And that should do it. So I'm feeling pretty confident that we have a lot of antifreeze through the lines and everything. But there's another thing I wanted to show you. With the city water connection, there's a screen right here. You're gonna want to remove this screen and washer, if I can. Let's see. Sometimes it could be a little tricky. And inside of there is a valve. So what I'm going to do is you want to make sure you step aside and nothing around you. And keep in mind that even though we have these lines disconnected, the system's still pressurized. So I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to press in on here, and as you see, it will pump and spray a lot of water out. So I like to do that just to prevent that valve from freezing in the event I might have not gotten all the water out. So hopefully that tip helps you. Well, that wraps it up. Bell is now ready for winter storage. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.